You have been taught to analyze the narcissist's actions, the lies, the betrayals, the tactical cruelty. You have documented them in your ledger like a meticulous historian of your own ruin. But you have yet to dissect the why, not the pathetic, superficial why of their excuses, but the profound, structural why of their very nature. Tonight, we put away the political treatises. We descend into the dungeon of the psyche itself, with a guide who walked these corridors his entire life. Carl Jung. He understood that the most terrifying monsters are not those that lurk in closets, but those that wear the faces of people we claim to love. He gave them names, and in naming them, he gave us the first ingredients for the antidote. The first concept you must grasp is the persona, the mask. Jung taught that we all wear a persona. It is the curated, socially acceptable version of ourselves that we present to the world. It is a necessary tool for navigating society. A healthy individual knows that the mask is not the man. They can remove it at will. They are aware of the true face beneath. The narcissist, however, makes a fatal error. They forget. For 7 years, you were not in a relationship with a person. You were in a relationship with a persona, a meticulously crafted, gilded mask of empathy, loyalty, and love. It was a performance so masterful, so convincing, that even she became lost in the role. The sweetness that arrived too quickly, the promises of a future she was already betraying, that was the persona. It was a glamour spell, designed to hide the profound, terrifying emptiness that festered beneath. Her mask was not a tool for social grace. It was a weapon of infiltration. It allowed her to bypass your defenses, to gain access to the deepest chambers of your trust, your finances, your future. You fell in love with the mask. You committed to the mask. You bled for the mask. And when the mask would inevitably slip in, a moment of rage, a careless lie, a flicker of cold indifference, you told yourself it was an anomaly, an aberration. You chose to believe in the performance because the alternative was too monstrous to comprehend. This brings us to the second and most critical ingredient in this poisonous brew, the shadow. Jung described the shadow as the dark side of our personality, the repository of all our repressed instincts, our weaknesses, our cruelties, our deepest shames. A healthy individual acknowledges their shadow. They wrestle with it. They understand that the capacity for evil exists within them, and they choose, through conscious effort, not to act upon it. The narcissist cannot do this. To acknowledge their shadow would be to admit imperfection, and to a narcissist, imperfection is a fate worse than death. So, they do something far more insidious. They project it. They take all of their own darkness, their own deceit, their own instability, and they cast it onto you. For years, she called you crazy. She branded you paranoid. She painted you as unstable, obsessive, the source of all chaos in the relationship. Do you understand now? That was not an insult. It was a confession. She was forcing you to wear her shadow. The madness you felt was never your own. It was the psychic weight of her disowned darkness. She accused you of infidelity because her own was rampant. She accused you of control because she was the ultimate puppeteer, Presh. She made you the living vessel for everything she loathed about herself. Gaslighting is not just lying. It is the violent act of making someone else carry your demons. And in this crucible, your own shadow was inevitably provoked. The rage you felt, the nasty email you sent, the financial self-destruction through a gambling addiction, that was the eruption of your own repressed darkness. Plah, after years of being the stable one, the loyal one, the one who absorbed all the poison, your shadow rose up and screamed, "No more." Do not carry shame for this. When you are locked in a cage with a monster for 7 years, do not be surprised when you learn how to bite back. Her greatest crime was not just in unleashing her own shadow, but in awakening yours. This leads us to the final and most arduous stage of this psychological alchemy, individuation. Jung's term for the journey to wholeness. It is the process of integrating all the disparate parts of yourself, the conscious, the unconscious, the persona, and yes, the shadow into a single, cohesive, and unbreakable self. This is the work of the survivor. Your journey is not to get back to who you were. That person is gone. He was the naive ingredient, the one who did not know the nature of this particular poison. To return to that state would be a regression. No, your task is to integrate the terrible wisdom you have earned. It means accepting the reality of the mask she wore. It means acknowledging the shadow she projected onto you. And most importantly, it means integrating your own shadow. You must accept your capacity for rage. You must understand the part of you that was drawn to the chaos. You must look at the man who lost himself in gambling, not with shame, but with a cold, analytical eye. He was a man pushed past his limits, seeking control in a game of chance, because he had lost all control in his life. Forgive him, learn from him, and integrate his knowledge of the abyss into your new self. This channel, this ledger of truths, is your act of individuation. You are taking the shattered pieces, the evidence, the pain, the memories, the Rajand. You are forging them into something new, a weapon of clarity, a shield of wisdom. You are integrating the darkest period of your life and transforming it into a source of power. The ultimate revenge is not her downfall. It is your own integration. To become so whole, so aware of your own light and shadow, that her manipulations can find no purchase. To build a life where her brand of chaos cannot exist. She projected her shadow onto you to avoid her own work. Your task is to do the work she never could. That is the final lesson from the Master. The goal of this life is not to avoid the darkness. It is to walk into it, confront it, and integrate it. She ran from her shadow and will be chased by it for the rest of her days, from one hollow relationship to the next. You have turned to face yours, and in doing so, you have begun the process of creating the philosopher's stoner soul that cannot be broken, because it knows, intimately, every single element from which it is made. The work is not over. It is never over. But you are no longer a victim of her dark arts. You are now a practitioner of your own.